All right, hello. Hey, thanks for tuning into the channel. What I want to do today is I really want to talk to you about setting up or establishing a travel budget. Carrie and I are going to be traveling for about 5.5 months starting in June, and so we put together an estimated budget. Now, if you're watching this channel, I'm telling you, I'm already going to assume that you've retired early like us, and I'm not going to bore you with the importance of budgets because you already know how important setting up a budget really is to live by. But I want to tell you this, that a travel budget is going to look a lot different than your regular home budget because, being at home, you have the same mortgage price. You're going to go to the same grocery stores. You're going to go to the same restaurants. You're going to go to the same gas stations. And so your budget really doesn't change all that much. Setting up a travel budget is going to take a little bit more work and it's going to look a lot different than the budget that you used to living by. So what I want to do is I want to give you three keys really when establishing your budget. Key number one, where are you going? What part of the world do you really want to visit? Are you going to go to Europe? You're going to go to Southeast Asia? You're going to go to Central America? Whatever that is, because each one of those budgets is going to look a lot different. Southeast Asia is going to look a lot different than if you're going to Europe because it's a lot less expensive. So important really to set up where are you going. Key number two is how do you want to live? Are you going to cut corners at every cost? You want to sort of be on that lower end of your budget. Maybe that's how you want to live. Or maybe you want to be middle of the road. You're going to do some really, really inexpensive things. You're going to do some things that are going to cost a lot. So you're going to be sort of that middle of the road. Maybe, you know what? Hey, I've worked my entire life. The sky's the limit. We're going to live high on the hog. So how do you want to live is key number two. And key number three is how long are you traveling for? Maybe you're going to travel for 5 months and you're just going to hop from place to place to place to place. And maybe that's how you want to do it. So that's going to take a lot of work. Let me tell you from experience, we wanted to see so much of the world that when we first retired, we were just going, 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 going. And I tell you what, man, it about killed us. So we've learned to do a little bit of the slow travel along the way. We find at least one spot to stay for about 2.5 months so that we can sort of re-energize ourselves, rest a little bit, and then we'll pop around, those other places. But we really want to settle down in one place for at least a couple months. So how long are you going to be traveling for? Those are the three important keys. Where are you going? How do you want to live? And how long are you going to be traveling for? In this video, I'm going to share with you our budget. Each fit within one of those key areas. Now, first of all, our large transportation. That's going from the States, and we're going to Europe this time. So the States over to Europe, that one large leg, we have that budget, and then coming back. Normally, we try to take a repositioning cruise. So our budget for our travel, our large travel, is $3,700. Now, the next thing is our lodging. Airbnbs or hotels, those kinds of things. We budgeted $8,000 to $9,000 for those 5.5 months. And we're going to be in Romania. We're going to do Greece. We're in Albania. We're in Croatia. And we're in Portugal. Our one leg that we're staying those 2 months is going to be in Albania. Next one is our food. Our food is around $5,000 to $6,000. That's all of our groceries. That's eating out, that's eating in, that's snacks. That may seem a little bit high, but we're on that higher end now because Europe does cost a little bit more. We eat in a lot more, but we also love to entertain. Especially when we're going to be in Albania, we're going to have people in our home probably weekly because we love that. We want to meet and greet as many people as we possibly can and build the relationships like we have been over these past 4 years. The next one is our local transportation. We have around $1,400 to $1,600. That's your trains, that's your buses, your Grabs, your Ubers, things like that. You're going to want to have a decent budget for that. Sightseeing, we have a budget of around $2,000. Now, we'll use Get Your Guide, we use Viator. One of the things that we found out that really saves us some money is you find that local Uber driver. You take your first excursion or your first trip somewhere. You may like that person and ask them, "Hey, can we hire you for a day?" That saves a lot of money, and they'll take you around because that helps them as well. Our allowance is something that maybe a lot of people don't have in their budget, but we do. it's going to be around $1,000 a month for the both of us. Now, the allowance covers a lot of different things. I like to golf. Carrie doesn't. That shouldn't come out of any one of our larger budget items. Those are things that I want to do. Maybe she wants to go to a museum without me. That covers our haircuts. That covers, buying bottles of wine on our own, or I go to the pub and I get a couple beers or something. That comes and established out of our own allowance. Health. Now, a lot of people talk about, what do you do for healthcare? We have health insurance, for those major items. Carrie's going to be on Medicare starting June 1st, but we have a budget of around $2,000 for medical. Because sometimes you need to go to the doctor. Sometimes you may need to go to the dentist. Carrie lost a crown on our last trip. That comes out of that. All of our like blood work, urinalysis work, all our X-rays, things like that, in medicine, we get done in Portugal. We load up our meds while we're there. It's some of it is at a better price than the States. Not all of it, but some of it is. So we find that out, and we use that money really a lot in Portugal. The next one is our cell and streaming is around $1,200. I'll tell you just a side note for our cell phone. Originally, when we started traveling, we used Google Fi. That only lasted 60 days, and then we were shut down. And then we had to do SIM cards and all of that. We switched over to Verizon, and I'm telling you, I'm not getting paid by Verizon. We switched over to Verizon when we went to Southeast Asia here for 5 months and didn't have one problem. We paid for the international plan, and all our Google Maps worked, everything. And so kudos to Verizon. We loved it. Our streaming, our Netflix and Paramount Plus and Hulu, those kind of things we have. And our last item for our budget is charity. We always try to find a place to give to, while we're traveling. Last time we were in Portugal, we gave to the Ukrainian Women Fund to help that. And so we always try to find a place to give back to while we are traveling. All right, so our estimated budget for these 5.5 months of travel is going to be around $31,500. Now, what I'll do in 6 months from now, I'll let you know if we came under it, if we blew it out of the water. I'll share all that with you here in 6 months from now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel. And as always, keep dreaming and travel safe.